It was a very green year. Even Trafalgar Square, one of London's most famous attractions, got the grass treatment in 2007. A publicity stunt to promote the greenness of London, reinforced by a tower at Britain's National Theatre on the other side of the Thames, also being given a turf mantle. This was an idea by the artists involved to get more people thinking and talking and debating concerns about the climate. Britain's business more than ever embraced the commercial opportunities. March 2007 saw a major exhibition in London by modern builders and construction designers promoting new products ranging from rain collectors to solar panels. The impetus for EcoBuild coming from the targets set by the government for reducing CO2 emissions also saw an increase in interest in alternative clean power options. Grand plans were announced for new wind farms offshore. This one ultimately forecast to service up to 200,000 homes. Tidal power options also moved up a gear. There was much discussion about building a barrage across the Severn estuary in southwest England to boost local electricity sources. Cleaner options to fossil fuel. That was the government's guideline, a government that also recognised the options for future nuclear power in the UK. All these moves and alternatives considered within a framework of strong warnings from the experts that something had to be done as far as the environment is concerned as soon as possible.
The message that climate change is the biggest challenge our civilization has ever had to face up to is now getting out there. The worry I have is that it's become almost fashionable to talk about it, and fashions come and go. This is a problem that we're going to have to tackle over the next 100 years or so. So I very much hope that this is a sea change in culture that we're seeing rather than just a blip. Now, your question was about what should we be drawing attention to. I think the concerns and the icons of the climate science community are, what are the big changes ahead of us that we should try to avoid? First of all, the loss of ice on Greenland. If all of the ice melts, 6.5 metre rise in sea levels, London goes underwater, there's no defences we could put up. Certainly Holland would be well underwater. Climate change, it involves almost every aspect of government. So when it comes to the way we set about urban design, absolutely vital that we do our urban design in the future not only in terms of creating zero carbon built environment, but also in terms of minimising transport and maximising leisure. So we have to look at all of these things in an integrated way. And by the way, modern computer technology enables us to do this. We can now use modern computers to tackle these highly complex systems, but we need to move more rapidly into making good use of them.
Europe met in March to discuss global warming amidst warnings from the UK.
This isn't a race, actually. I mean, this is about how do we build a low-carbon economy together, and actually it makes no sense to consider individual national energy economies on their own. We're interconnected and interdependent. So it's about how we can help each other all get there faster. One reality in all of this is that the precise mix of technologies that each country chooses to adopt is always going to be primarily a matter for decision at national level. It's too closely bound up in in national politics, and this summit isn't going to change that. But what it will make clear is that these mixes of technologies, whatever they are in different countries, will need to fit within an envelope that takes us all and each economy individually on an accelerated transition to low carbon. And yes, some countries have particular strengths in some technologies. Well known, for example, that Denmark and Germany and Spain now increasingly have all invested a lot of effort in wind power, for example. In other areas, for example, in energy efficiency, I think there are huge opportunities. Again, different countries have different experiences, but there are huge opportunities for us all to do more. But this is not primarily a question of choosing specific technologies. There are no magic technology bullets for this. It's about the right combination, given the realities of different economies, that will take us in the direction of low carbon.
In September, the UK's Trade and Development Minister made the point that climate change was not just an environmental issue, it was one also of development, and he explained his government's specific ambitions.
We, I think, first need to recognise that it's vital that we reduce global emissions so that we can avoid continuing dangerous climate change. In the UK, the Climate Change Bill will mean that by law we must reduce carbon dioxide emissions through domestic and international action by some 60% by 2050, some 26 to 32% by 2020 against 1990 baselines. But it's also vital that we think about the international situation and recognise that it's vital too that international emissions are reduced. So we must agree a global and comprehensive post-2012 agreement.
The government also launched an initiative in July providing a guide on CO2 emissions for cars in the UK, big and small. They partnered up with a car magazine to produce a list of the top 10 cars in 14 categories, so that consumers could make intelligent choices when it came to buying a new vehicle.
It's very much trying to get the message across to the public that if we make intelligent choices, whether in terms of purchasing a new car or using our smarter driving tips, they can help tackle climate change, they can help reduce CO2 emissions, and they can save themselves in terms of fuel, and that means they're going to be able to save themselves some money.
The British government also introduced tough new guidelines for house builders, the regulations requiring all new builds to be carbon neutral by the year 2016. Exhibition homes and a new school were put on display in Hertfordshire, seen as great examples for buildings embracing solar power and wind power. The school too having its own wind turbines, rainwater drains collecting water and a sustainable roof garden all included. One British power company called Green Energy supplies electricity guaranteed to come only from sustainable sources. A relatively small enterprise, but one with big ambitions.
If you look at the way that we interact with our customers, you can see that it's slightly different from a normal utility. So first of all, we've invited our customer base to invest in the company. And each time we've done that, we did that in 2002, 2004, they've invested about 10%. And we're just asking again now for customers to see whether they want to invest. And we expect up to sort of 10% of our customer base consider investing in the company. So that's first, they're investors. Secondly, we send out a newsletter with every single bill that a customer gets. And that has a lot of information about what else is going on in climate change and renewable energy. Looking forward, we're looking to introduce a scheme in the new year where customers can come to us and we can recommend where they can go and buy their own small wind turbine or solar panel. And over the last 6 months, we're really excited that our customer base has really been looking at how they can reduce their energy, and they successfully reduced energy by 5% in 6 months, which is ahead of government targets and ahead of what the national average is doing.
There does seem to be real enthusiasm across Britain to move to renewable power options. 2007 may yet be seen as the year in which it all started to go green.